Been a kind of an exciting time. Been a while since we got together, so I wanted to get a chance to come and visit with you guys here leading up into our spring practice. It's been a great last several weeks. Our guys have been in the middle of a pretty rigorous off-season program. I think you could see the team adjusting to Coach Wiley and his staff and strength and conditioning. I've been really pleased with what we saw as far as the development of our team, development of the mentality starting to creep in a little bit with this team. Young guys starting to catch up to where we want to be. Older guys making some jumps in the weight room from a strength and conditioning perspective. And we've been through, just finished this week, a pretty rough week of what we term coaches stations. It's a physical test, certainly, but definitely a mental toughness test too, which I think your strength coach is certainly a big part in building. So I like the direction of our team right now. Everybody's tired of being in the office right now. Everybody's tired of being in the weight room. Everybody's excited to get back on the field, and so we're very much looking forward to that. It's going to be an exciting spring practice. It's college football springs are so much fun because your roster is going to change somewhere, every year. Some areas not as much as others. Sometimes it's this position group, that position group, but all in all, it's still a new team. And so excited to see how this new group starts to come together. Got a ton of position battles that will get underway here this spring that are going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot of great new players, whether guys that we just brought in the program or guys that redshirted or maybe some that haven't played quite as much up to this point that are going to have some big-time opportunities. And, we like the talent we have. We like the roster we have, and now it's time to continue to develop and find out what kind of team that we can be. So very excited to get started this Saturday. We'll practice on Saturday, and then we're going to come back and practice Tuesday and Thursday of the following week, and then go into spring break from there, come back and have our last 11 practices, and then the spring game, obviously after spring break. So we've got a good schedule, one that balances getting a lot of work done and pushing them, but also getting all the meeting time and kind of taking our time through it as well. And then again, very excited about the spring game. We've been knee deep in the planning phases the last several weeks. I think we're close to making public some of the plans that we have for our spring game, but not quite ready yet. But we've got some really cool things that I think our fan base is going to be excited about. There's going to be some definite changes to just about every part of the spring game that I think are going to make it even better. And like I've said, it's still just such a huge weekend for us recruiting-wise that, the University of Oklahoma, our football program, our fan support, being able to put all our best foot forward that day, April the 14th, is going to be just incredibly important for the future of this program. And so, again, like I've said, I know we got a job to do, and we've been working hard behind the scenes to create something that everybody's going to be really proud and excited about. And I'm very confident that our fans, Sooner Nation, will respond the way that we know they will. So. A couple of quick things here. I know we covered some of the injuries before, but out for spring, Starlin Baldwin came in with an injury that we knew about. Is in the process of recovery right now, rehab, getting back to full strength, but he'll be out this spring. And then the three ones that are all expected that had off-season surgeries, Michael Jones and Caleb Kelly that had off-season shoulder surgery, and Nick Basquin, who obviously we spoke about last time with his other Achilles. So all four of those guys, fully expected back for the fall. They've been participating in a kind of a limited way within our strength and conditioning right now, but those guys won't be available for spring practice. We got two guys that are coming off of off-season surgeries as well that will be limited during spring. We'll be able to get a little bit of work with them, and that's Alex Dalton and Jordan Parker, obviously both coming off knee injuries, but those guys are progressing really well, and we will get a little bit of work with them through spring, and we'll see how they progress from there. Last thing, and then we'll get to questions. We did make our last assistant strength coach hire, brought in Brian Kagans. Brian played offensive line for us at Texas Tech. I was from Stephenville. Was a really good player for us at Tech, and then got into the strength and conditioning field. Has worked with Coach Wiley at a couple of different stops. Also been in the Texas high school ranks. Has done a tremendous job. We're really excited to get him. He is a great worker, brings kind of a great pedigree, tremendous work ethic, very strong in kind of the area of the sports science, which is something that we're continuing to build on and try to be on the cutting edge with, both with the people that we've hired and again our strength and conditioning facility in the Switzer Center, which is the best one in the country. So Brian's just going to add to that group, and he's already up and running with our guys, and so excited to welcome Brian here to Oklahoma.
How does Kyler Murray playing baseball affect what you're trying to do with him this spring?
Actually, not much. Strength and conditioning wise, Coach Wiley and then our strength staff with baseball have done a good job of staying in contact, and the way you train baseball players, the way you train quarterbacks, there's actually not as many differences as you would think. It's not like we're sitting there trying to train a linebacker, so it's there's been a lot of carryover. And then, like I've said before, I think we all just, after going through this last year, have a better sense of the schedule, what we can do to help Kyler, scheduling out, even just the times that he can sleep, his nutrition, just trying to balance it where he's not missing anything in football and he's not going to miss any of the spring practices. And I think we have it scheduled out where he's only going to miss one baseball game, which was lucky and good scheduling on our part. We've got a ton of home games. He's going to have several days where he's going to practice, and then he's going to, we'll get him done with practice maybe 15 minutes early, get his reps in, and then go over to the baseball field. And he's actually, Saturday he'll practice that morning, then has a doubleheader, so he'll sleep good Saturday night. But he's pushing through it. He's been able to attend everything football related, and so, yeah, I think it's been good.
When it comes to that position, it's expected to be a close race between he and Austin and Tanner. What are the variables from a quarterback coach that maybe you'll look for that may finally decide who's the guy going to be?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, I think there's always, of course, an element of performance. I mean, the guy's got to be able to perform and do his job. And then I think there's the element of the intangibles, the leadership, the toughness, the mentality that he brings to your group. Do the other 10 guys play better when he's in there? And so, we've told them all, look, this thing's going to be, it's not going to be a sprint. It's going to be a marathon. We're lucky in the way we practice. We can get a lot of reps. We can get a good look at these guys through spring, how they progress into summer, and then into camp. And so, it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, having guys that have been in this system for multiple years, been in the meeting room with me for multiple years, I've got a lot of confidence in them, and they are ready to compete. They all feel like this is their time, like they should, and so it's going to be a fun battle.
So many people assume, and we read it all the time, that Kyler's going to be the next starting quarterback. Austin had the redshirt year. How much did that redshirt year help him, and how much do you think he'll feed off the competition, because he probably hears that noise?
Yeah, first thing I'd say, there's zero assumptions in our building. So all that on the outside is what it is. It's noise. It has nothing to do with this competition. Austin's, I think, just motivated to come compete. I mean, that's what I actually met with him the other day, and I said, hey, this is why you came all the way from North Carolina to come to Oklahoma, was to have a chance to be the guy here, and this is a great opportunity. Last year really benefited him. He is the healthiest that he's ever been. He's in the best shape from a strength perspective that he's ever been. And then just the value of day in and day out going against our defense every single day, being able to really push himself off the field because he wasn't saving up for a game. You just see a difference with the kid right now. There's no doubt. He's in he did a great job for us as the backup 2 years ago, especially in a tough situation as a true freshman. He is in a great place right now to go compete and make a serious run at that, as are Tanner Schaefer and Kyler. I mean, I told him the other day I could care less who it is. I just want him to be good.
Lincoln, Austin and Kyler, they have seemingly pretty different skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
How does that change things for you in the spring, where it seems like at some point you kind of got to tailor this to one guy as opposed to the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think our system has enough versatility to it that as you get to the guy and you narrow it down a little bit, that we can get there. I think the most important thing right now is getting the right guy. You know, I think that's more important than trying to worry too much about individual skill sets right now. I mean, we've got our base things that we're going to do year in and year out, and whoever it is, and regardless of what skill set he has, he better be good at those. If not, he's not going to be the guy, so we don't got to worry about tailoring anything to him. So that's the stuff that we'll focus on right now, and then as things become more clear, then you know, and as a guy emerges, then we'll certainly try to build a few things around maybe what he does well in particular.
Whenever anybody's asked you about offense and defense, since you've been here, you've always mentioned special teams along with it. I mean, having two guys now that are dedicated to that, how much does that kind of send a message to the team about the importance that you're placing on special teams?
It's been a hot topic for us throughout the off season, both as a staff and then with the players. You know, we know we got to be better there. I mean, that's the bottom line. And there's things as players that we have to do better. There's things as the head coach that I didn't do well enough, you know, in the first year, as far as, you know, making sure that you're giving special teams guys, you know, enough time, making sure that you're helping with the overall organization, giving the guys that are working on the different teams enough tools to get done what they need to get done. And so I think we all looked at it and said, hey, you know, we don't feel like we're really far off in any area, but we also feel like that, you know, coaches, players, all of us, we all got to take a big step forward there. And so, yeah, bringing Shane in has been great for that. He and Jay have worked very well together. I think we've got a pretty good plan going forward of how we want to do it. We're going to test run a few things in the spring, and then certainly settle in going into the fall. But I feel great about it. You know, I think we've got a team that's going to embrace it. I think being able to split those guys up where they can really focus in on a few areas and then also continue to make big contributions to us offensively was kind of the whole plan when we first thought about hiring Shane. And so I've been really happy with the progress, and it'll be a big point of emphasis during spring ball.
How do you want to see that kind of manifest itself? I mean, is it just creating chaos on special teams with blocks and returns? And
well, I mean, I think sometimes people always associate, well, a good special team's like only blocks kicks or has – there's also being solid and sound too. There's that element, and I think there's going to be different situations throughout the year where you're going to have to be able to do both, where sometimes sound is the best thing to help us win this game. Sometimes being aggressive and going making a big play is going to be the best thing to help us win this game. So just like on offense or defense, I think you have to be able to do both.
Plan for Austin Seibert this spring? I know in the past he's been more limited in spring. He's focusing on specific elements of the kicking game. Mm-hmm. What do you guys have in store for him this time around?
Yeah, in a little bit of a different place with him, I feel like, than we were last spring. I think, you know, Jay, our guys, Austin, they all did a really nice job with his just overall preparation from spring ball on throughout the year last year. And I think he was much more productive in all the areas combined, you know, and obviously had a great year for us. So I think we're in a little bit better position to continue to work him at all the different areas. The thing that we've got to continue to be careful of is, you know, just not overworking him. But he's in a position where there's not one glaring area for him. I think it's just finding a few things in each of his jobs to continue to improve at, and that'll be the aim this spring.
What's fair to expect from Kennedy Brooks this spring?
I'm excited about Kennedy. Kennedy's had a really nice offseason. Coming off that shoulder surgery from the fall, he's really developed his body, walking around with a little confidence right now. You know, you can see, you know, the weight room and all that will do that to you. And, you know, we know the guy's really skilled carrying the football, so he's going to get a lot of carries. I mean, he's going to get a lot of work this spring. You know, we're going to work him a lot. We're going to work T.J. Pledger a lot. We'll work Marcellus Sutton a lot, and then certainly, you know, Rodney and Trey are going to get their fair share as well. So we've got a good group there, but really, you know, didn't get to see a ton of Kennedy in the fall because we made the decision to have the surgery pretty early. So I'm really excited to see what he can do, and just with all this with this full off season under his belt right now.
You're not just replacing the guy behind center; you're also replacing the center. Yeah. What are the dynamics of going through both those changes at the exact same time?
That's an interesting question. It'll be different. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Those are the two guys that control the most of what we do on the field. And, you know, it's kind of – the situations are different, though, you know, where the quarterback battle, you've got pretty, you know, guys that are about the same age, that are relatively close in terms of experience, where the center battle is about as different as it could be. You know, we were so fortunate to be able to redshirt, you know, Jonathan Alvarez. Bill and I looked at each other like, when we first thought of the plan in August, we're like, there's no way in hell that's going to happen. You know, there's no way we're going to be able to get through a whole season with a center and him not be nicked up. I mean, especially in today's day, I mean, the helmet pops off one play. If the helmet would have came off one play in the Rose Bowl, we'd had to throw Alvarez in. I mean, so the chances of it happening were so low. So anyways, we get to this point, so we've got him. He's played a ton of ball for us, you know, ton of experience in our system, you know, one of our leaders there. He's going to definitely be a factor. And then, you know, Creed, we were also close to playing as well. I mean, he is just so talented and really, I think, grew throughout the year. We were able to rep him a lot during the year, even when we were still hoping to redshirt him, and rep him a lot with our first and second group. So he's had almost like a year's worth of practice, even though he actually didn't play on Saturdays. So it's going to be a great battle. I mean, it really is. Those two guys, they both get after it. They are the young, talented guy that's hungry to get on the field, and kind of the veteran that's wanting to, you know, kind of have his last great year here. And so it'll be a fun battle to watch. It's not many people have one good center, and we got two. And so that's a big-time luxury.
Lincoln, you guys went to a college football playoff your first year here. Then you kind of went through a leadership void going into your second year when you're offensive coordinator. Did you learn anything from kind of going through that spring? And, you know, you lost Tapper and, you know, Stryker and Sterling Shepard, kind of the big voices on that team. You're kind of going through that again a little bit. What can you do as a head coach to kind of foster that?
Yeah, no, I think you've got to do a lot of things. You've got to first identify who on your team that you think can lead. You've got to teach them how to lead. You've got to push them out of their comfort zone to do it more and more. You've got to make guys realize that, you know, a year ago you were either in high school or you were maybe on this team listening to somebody else, always looking to somebody else. Now they're all looking at you, and it's a different perspective for them. So you've got to teach them, and then you've also got to put them in different situations where their leadership's required, whether it's good, whether it's, you know, adverse situations, whatever it is. So that's definitely a point of emphasis for this team and this program right now. We know to be the team we want to be and make the run that we want to make, that we have to have great leadership year in and year out. We've got some really intriguing young potential leaders. I mean, guys, I think they're going to be great at it, but we need them to be great now. And so that'll be just as important, if not more important, than how we develop them on the field.
Your offensive guys kind of need to know, like, having a guy like Baker around here wasn't normal from a quarterback, like a rah-rah guy. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks are reserved and even-keeled. Is it going to be strange from that kind of getting other guys on the offense to be leaders, not coming from the quarterback position as much?
I don't think so. I mean, you know, we go through this every year at different positions, and I know people on the outside place so much emphasis on the quarterback, and I understand it's an important position, but I mean, we've lost great leaders and great players every year I've been here, and every year I've been everywhere else too. And so that's just part of what you do. And so it seems pretty normal. I think, are we going to have other guys step up and continue to increase their roles and become bigger parts of the team on and off the field? Certainly, but that's what you do each and every year. And we do have a lot of guys returning that have played a lot of ball that are doing a good job with our leadership so far.
Lincoln, with Vasquez and Jones out, how does that open it up for Jaquaylin Crawford or Charles Rambo when it comes to the slot?
Yeah, it makes things interesting. You know, we're going to probably look at a few more guys in the slot than maybe we would have. We may move some guys around a little bit more this spring, more than we would have because of that, because we need to be repping guys that, you know, that obviously have a realistic chance to play. And so we've talked about that a little bit. I think we've got a good plan. I mean, we're going to start off, you know, there with Calcaterra, with Lee Morris, and then Miles Tees, of course, who did some really nice things for us during the year last year. And and then also want to take a look at some of those other guys there potentially too. So we know CD's, probably going to stay where he is. Calcaterra will probably stay where he is. And then after that, we feel like we've got a pretty versatile group of guys that you could make an argument for inside or outside, which is what we've, hoped to build here at our receiving corps. So I think we'll see, I don't know if you'll necessarily see it in a spring game setting, but we're gonna bounce these guys around and try to really get a good evaluation on who can help us.
In the last 3 years, you've had a real versatile player in Dimitri Flowers. How do you replace him, and who are some of the candidates you look at that position?
Yeah, Carson Meyer will be in the middle of it, and Jeremiah Hall will be in the middle of it. I mean, those are definitely the top two right now. I want to take a look at those guys. It's an interesting position, because I think it's, what you do at that position is you got to really lean on what the individual guys can do. And Dimitri, was able to do a few things earlier in his career and obviously built up into being able to do so much. And so, we got to find the best guy, but also it'll be on us as coaches to make sure we're putting them in good situations and having them in there doing things that they're good at, and then we'll hopefully continue to build that skill set. But it's a big part of our offense. Jeremiah and Carson's will be, similar in a way to Alvarez and Creed Humphrey's battle, kind of two guys at different ends of it, but two guys that are talented. They've been in the system, and they know that if you win that job, there's a lot of good opportunities.
You've also got to replace Orlando Brown. What are your options at that spot? That's obviously a difficult person to replace.
Yeah, we've got some pretty good options. I think, we've got two guys that have played, a lot of tackle here. And, obviously Bobby Evans, is going to be a factor. We would hope to be able to leave, Drew Samia inside. He's really played so well for us at guard there the last couple of years, but we all know he started, for a whole year as a right tackle, as a true freshman as well. So I think there's that option. But we're not going to start that way. We're going to give, Adrian Ely, Quinn Mittermeier, Eric Swenson. We'll get Bray Walker, Daryl Simpson here in this summer. So we're going to give those guys a first look, and if we had our way, one of those guys would take over that other tackle spot. And so that's going to be the first crack at it. And then if that's not where we're best, then we'll make some moves from there.
Just looking down the road and with Kyler, are we past the age where a player could play professionally in baseball and football?
That's a good question. It'd be tough. I think it'd be really tough just because of the positions that he plays. I know, some of the other guys that have done it in the past, and there hasn't been many. It's a short list. We're certainly not quarterbacks. So I do think it would be tough. Is he skilled enough to potentially do it? Yeah. So yeah, those will be interesting discussions, as you go forward. But we're happy we're able to, that collectively we've been able to, make it work here. I think he's gotten off to a good start, for on the diamond right now, which is great to see. And so happy with what he's doing football wise now too.
The last guy to do it at a really high level, I can't think of anybody besides Deion Sanders, but he was sort of perfectly built for both his positions, like you said, where he played both sports. Why do you think there haven't been very many people do that recently, besides the fact that maybe it's just really hard? It seems like that's just completely fallen off. People are so ready to specify what sports they play.
Well, you think of the guys that have tried to do it. You're talking about three of the most elite athletes in the history of, the world. Deion, Bo, and Michael Jordan. Now, I know the baseball thing didn't work out great for Michael, but, it's physically, there's not many guys, period, that can do it, period. To play at the most elite level possible and to do it in two different sports. And then mentally, I don't think many people have the makeup. I think sports are so intensive right now that guys want that time away when they can get it. And so I think it's just a rare breed that can both physically and mentally handle it and want to do it all.
Lincoln, have you talked with any of the guys who participated in the combine this past weekend, and if so, how'd those conversations go?
Yeah, I've talked to most of them either on the phone or through text. It was good. It's fun to see those guys get a chance to go, live their dream out, and certainly be able to catch up with more of them when they get back here. Most of them are coming in here throughout the weekend in anticipation of Pro Day next Wednesday, which is going to be a great event here. So I think our guys are good. They're excited about it. I think more than anything they enjoy getting out there and meeting with the different teams, getting to meet some of the different players that they've competed against or watched here for the last several years. So the group's excited. They're excited to get back Wednesday, and it's a tough process on those guys. I think more than anything they'll be ready for Wednesday to get past. All their team visits and individual workouts to get past. Let's go ahead and get drafted and get on a team and get moving.
Orlando had one of the most talked about combine performances. What advice do you give him going into Pro Day after what happened at the combine?
Well, the thing with Orlando, would I have expected that he would have tested a little bit better than he did? Yes. And I think he will here next Wednesday. With that being said, Orlando's never going to be a great test guy. That's just, some guys got their deals. I can't count how many football players that I've seen throughout the years that are unbelievable in the weight room. Just freaks in the weight room. They can do all this weight and all this and that, and then you go toss them on a football field and they can't play dead. And so I get it. I know they want to test their physical skills, but what that guy's gifted at is playing tackle and playing football. And so I told them to keep the main thing, and train hard and be ready to put your best foot forward on Pro Day. But the most important thing is that film. And, he can run whatever. I know he's disappointed, wants to run better, and he'll run better here this Wednesday. But I think that tape didn't go away. You go click on tape against Georgia, Clemson, Auburn, Ohio State, and see a guy that is one of the best tackles in the game, and he's going to be, I feel like, when he gets to the next level as well.
Coach, it's obviously early right now, your first spring practice as the head coach, a lot of new players. It sounds like you have a couple of ideas of who or play where, what you want to do. When does an idea of a depth chart ever come in during the spring, and if so, do you make that public to the players at all, or is that one of those things that you kind of just keep up in your head with you and the other assistant coaches?
Is that like a subliminal hint? Yeah. No, it's definitely a moving target right now. We've got a starting point, of course, in our offices. We got a starting point with new players, even some of the guys returning that have a chance to maybe bounce around or help you in different areas. So we're definitely, we've got a plan, but we also understand at spring ball, a lot of these guys we've never worked with before, and so we want to be open-minded too, and make sure that we don't discount anybody at a position where they could potentially help our football team. So, we'll look at it as we go through. But I could send you one right now, and then it'd be blown up probably in a couple of weeks. So we've got a pretty good idea of where we want to start, though.
Is there one position group that you'd be willing to share that is most up in the air than any other one, or is that more on the down low?
There's so many that are up in the air. Quarterback's up in the air. I think H-back's up in the air. It's definitely certain positions on the offensive line are definitely up in the air. We're replacing some D linemen. We're replacing a couple of linebackers. We're replacing 2 safeties. And then the flip side too is, this is Oklahoma. We brought in some pretty darn good players, and there's been a lot of them in the past where maybe a guy started the year before and everybody thinks, well, of course, just assumes he's going to start, and then somebody comes in and beats him out. So you got to earn it here every single year, and so there'll be changes, and it'll be fluid as always.
Lincoln, in reading the Q&A, you appear to be pretty high on Ryan Jones. What is it about him that has you so pumped up?
Yeah, he's got a unique ability. He's kind of made the move from first a receiver, then to a safety, and now we've got him down at outside linebacker. And I'm excited about what you see. Anytime a guy with that type of athleticism can get big enough, it's intriguing, because it's a different kind of athleticism than what you normally see at the position. So he's still got a long ways to go. A lot of maturing, a lot of growing as a player, both on and off the field. But there's some potential there that I know. Mike, all of us want to get a really good look at him this spring, because you see some things that say, he could maybe be a difference maker here in the future.
Do you see Kenneth Murray being a middle linebacker moving forward, or could he possibly switch positions?
It'd be interesting to see. I mean, certainly our initial plan will be him staying at Mike. You know, he had a good, a full season of that. You know, learned so much and got so much better throughout the year. But he does bring a skill set that, could allow for potential changes if that's what made sense for the team. So you love having those guys that you're very happy if they stay at their position, but if it works out better that we need him somewhere else even more, that he can physically and now mentally go handle that. I mean, once you've played Mike, it's kind of like playing quarterback. You got to know what everybody's doing. And so if he had to make a move now, I think he would, be able to do it pretty quickly. So he gives us some versatility, but right now he's definitely penciled in at Mike.
Lincoln, you talked about Kennedy Brooks. Seems like a guy on the other side that's in the very same case as Levi Draper. How's he looked heading into the spring?
Similar to Kennedy, he's kind of got some confidence back. Those guys get in here and have a surgery and out for a whole season. It's hard on them. And now he's back full go in the weight room. He had a great kind of conditioning session with us here this last week. We're going to give him a great shot there, with Emmanuel Beal being gone. We're going to work him a lot at that will linebacker position, and he's going to have a really, really good run at it. So he's put on some weight, speed's back. He looks good right now. He's definitely, I'd say, one of the guys I'm definitely, very interested to see as far as what he does this spring.
How hands-on is Benny in his, or maybe how's he different from Jerry Schmidt in the past? Because he seems like, just by watching his Instagram, super active himself in there, in that weight room.
Yeah, I don't know that I compare. I mean, they're both guys that are at the top of their professions, but Benny's been great. It's been different for our guys. Which sometimes that can be good. I think our team has certainly seen it as a positive. He's very hands-on. He's right in the middle of it with our guys. Very interactive. Spends a lot of time with them out of the weight room too. He's done a great job, I think, of just investing in our team, getting to know our guys, and I think that's one of the bonds between him and the team. You can already see them starting to form even in such a short time. So yeah, he's been a good breath of fresh air for the whole program. I've been really pleased. Really pleased. I think he helps bring a great mentality here, which, like I said earlier, I think is so critical for that position. So yeah, I couldn't have hired anybody better.
You're running out of first. This is your first spring
You're going to have to ask me here pretty soon.
Yeah. How much did you keep over the past 3 years here, what you're doing this spring? And are there a lot of changes, or are they subtle changes, or is there a lot of differences?
Oh, subtle. I would say a lot of the base core values of the program, a lot of the things, again, we're in a great place, and were things that I've already believed in myself, as far as the way that Coach Stoops had it set up. So probably more subtle changes, but they're, in each and everything you find a few things that you say, we're going to do it a little different here for this reason or that reason, and that's just what we think, this team and this program needs right now. So we haven't been shy about changing those things, and our players would probably tell you there's a lot. It probably maybe feels like a lot to them, but yeah, I think it's a thing that we've really been on the same page with staff-wise, and just in trying to identify, not necessarily trying to put our stamp on it like I've said before, but just what does this program and this current team need right now? What's going to make us the best? And so if we feel like there's a change that can make us better, we've been pretty aggressive about it.
You have time between like the Rose Bowl and the start of spring, and then you'll go into another off season. How important has it been for you to kind of establish things for players such as the Grow U, and bringing people in to talk about career goals and personal growth and things like that?
It's been really important. I thought when all this happened that you don't get a job, especially one like the one that I have right now, and especially when you're 33 years old, you don't get that by yourself. I mean, if you think you do, you're wrong. I mean, you got to work hard and be in the right situation, all that, but you have to have a lot of people, which I was fortunate that I did. You have to have a lot of people along the way that help you and help guide you and keep you from screwing it all up. And for whatever reason, I was really just over the top lucky fortunate, right place, right time, however you want to say it, to have so many people that helped me along the way. And so now I feel like in this role, that's my job now, you know, with these players. And you know, I'm obviously still really involved in the football side of it, and I'd like to be pretty hands-on in all areas of it, but you know, that's not my most important job anymore. You know, my most important job is when I promise this mom or dad that I'm going to take care of their son, that I see it all the way through. And so our staff has really embraced it. It's been our administration's embraced it as far as you know investing in this area for us and allowing us to do the things that we think are important, and our team's enjoyed it. They really have. We've been able to do a lot of cool things with them that have absolutely nothing to do with football, that have just, I think, really helped prepare them for life now, life after football. And it's been kind of a bonding point for us as well. So it'll always, as long as I'm here, it'll be a big part of what we do.